Hi there, and welcome to the channel. So, I heard the news about the bald eagle hatchlings up at Big Bear. I've been watching the live cam provided by the friends at Big Bear Valley, and of course, I had to go check it out for myself. The snow, the wildlife, that crisp mountain air, and of course, I couldn't resist doing a little spring trout fishing. So, I packed up the truck, headed south, and I came out here hoping to hook into something big, and maybe, just maybe, catch a glimpse of Jackie and Shadow while I'm at it. So let's see what Big Bear has in store in this latest episode of Tailwaters.
All right, so here's that hookup bait. You can see that. Okay, and then got this trout dip, this corn scent. Why the corn scent? Well, these are hatchery fish, and this is what they eat, these corn pellets, and so they like this scent. So I'm just dipping that bad boy in there, that hookup bait in there, shake it around a little bit. Now he's nice and goopy. There you go. And that, my friends, is a good bait. I think we just had a little bump. Let's come back through there again. Let's go. Let's get on the board. It's been quiet this morning. I'm going to slow that presentation down. I'm going to let that thing fall and sink. Oh, there we go. Now we're on. Now we're on. That's a nice fish. That's a nice fish. Where's the net? All right. Come here, big man. All right. We are on the board. Let's get this out of the way. Keep you in the water. I know. My apologies. Don't have much area for me to stand here. Nice fish. Nice fish. Alright. I'm gonna let you go though. All right, we're gonna let you go. There he goes. So I'm gonna go a little slip bobber. You need these to be able to stop that bobber from sliding up and down. Okay. And I'm gonna get this rigged up and I'll show you what it looks like. Let's take a look at this rig. You can see here I've got my bobber stop on there. So I'm going to show you how to rig this up a little bit later in the video, but I've got that on, and you've got to make sure that you've got the right bobber stop for your pound test line. So this bobber stop is made for 4-pound test, so that's what I'm throwing, this fluoro line. And I've got a bead here that'll bump up against that, and then I've got my bobber here that I can adjust, and that's going to slide up and down. And then I've got this split shot on here. I like to put that on here just to give it a little bit more of a bumper as well, and also to get this trout magnet down. So, whoop, come on back here. So I've got this trout magnet here. I think it's easier to see it against the water. I've got this trout magnet here, and it looks like a little grub on there, right? I mean, it could imitate some kind of, you know, some kind of worm, some kind of stonefly, like a mealworm. I was thinking, you know, some kind of stonefly, and then you've got to really rig this up so that this hook gets between these paddles. See this tail? That's key. All right, so right now I've got this set up at about, if you look at from the hook to the bobber stop, that looks to be about 2 feet. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. So that looks to be about a good 1.5 yards. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So you can see how that split shot stops that bobber right there. All right, so let's cast this out, and let's see how we do. I got a little bit of that corn scent on there too. Wait a minute, something doesn't look right. Hang on. I think we got a little tangled up on ourselves on that cast. Yeah, we sure did. Okay. I need to pinch this, I need to pinch that split shot down a little bit more. It's got some snow on it. All right, so instead of using my teeth, let's use some actual pliers. Really crimp that thing down. There we go. Much better. No, Mr. Dennis, I don't grind my teeth. I just chew on split shot. Is there a problem? Excuse me. All right, let's give this a whirl. So when you cast that out there too, you got to be really careful. You don't want to whip it. It's almost just kind of like this overhand lob. What the heck is going on here? Is that split shot causing me problems? Okay, no, it held. All right, good deal. My bad. All right, let's get it out there. So I slid my my bobber stop down and brought it down about a good, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches. I'm wondering if I can't get them to rise up and take this thing. So far the night crawler's not doing it. Might have to swing back to the yellow. They've kind of poked around at it. They've looked at it and swam by it. But that's been about it. Here's that wacky rig again I'm doing. There is a pair of eagles, bald eagles, out of Okuma. So my home lake. Every once in a while I'll see them. Pretty cool. But if you ever get a chance and you really want to see bald eagles in their native habitat, not to say that this isn't it, you got to go to Alaska. That's when it just gets crazy. See them by the boatloads. Here's what I'm thinking now too. With this sun now kind of at its apex, it's not completely overhead like summer is, but still it's at its peak. This water's getting a lot of light on it. I might throw again up against these dam walls, because they could be hiding out in there, getting out of the sun and waiting for something to swim by. They can ambush. So I'm gonna let this sit here a little bit, see if we get anything. It's also going to be a little bit deeper over there on that wall, so let's do that. So this is real easy. Here's my bobber stopper again. Here, I'll put it up against this dam wall so you can see it. There it is. I'm just going to slide it up. All right. Really effective and easy way to fish. That didn't go far enough. I'm going to redo that. Recast. The misdeal light is on. Oh boy. Nailed it. Didn't even hit the wall. So now I can't see the bait now. I can barely see the bobber and the bead. See how this goes. There we go. Fish on. Bobber down. That's a pretty one. That is a pretty one. All right. Oh, you are nice color. Nice color. There you go. Nice fish. Really nice fish. Time to head down the mountain and head home. But absolutely fabulous day. Beautiful time of year to be out here. The water was cold, plenty of trout. Morning bite was on. That's the time to get them, I think. You know, they hit those gulp baits. They hit those hookup baits, and I think it's just that window for me was between 9 and 11. So I don't know if anybody else has been coming out here. If you are, leave me a comment. I'd like to know what's going on, and I'm sure other subscribers and viewers would enjoy that as well. But stick around. I'm gonna show you what I was throwing out here today, all of the setup. So if you're kind of new to trout fishing and you don't know how to use a slip bobber, for example, or you want to fish a mice tail, or maybe what are some of the kind of go-to lures, to attract some fish, and that's really what I was doing. I was hoping for some hookups with you know, throwing that Castmaster, a Panther, and that Thomas Buoyant, that TB. But it was more of an attractor to try to get them to, you know, to follow and chase those baits, and then get them to swallow the Berkley baits as well. So, but anyway, it's always a learning experience. A beautiful day, great to be out here in the environment with the eagles. They're right up there. Got myself a Big Bear sticker, pumped. So I really enjoyed my my fishing, really for the first time out here at Big Bear. So super stoked, and stick around. Like I said, we're gonna come at you with the setups. All right, hey guys, hey, we're back from Big Bear Lake. We're going to talk about some of those rigs that we were using, and the first thing we want to talk about is the setup. And going with the old faithful here, we got the Okuma setup here. We got an 8-foot Salilo here, and it is rated for 2 to 6 pound test line, and lure size is 1/32 to 3/8 of an ounce, and then that reel size on there is a C30 or a 3000 series. Pound test line, I got 4-pound test, and as you can tell, that's been a whole year of fishing that, and it's time to re-spool either with some 4-pound test. I might go ahead and stick some 8 to 10 pound braid on there for the upcoming season, which is going to happen here in the next couple weeks. So slip bobbers have come a long way since you probably fished as a little kid. I think we probably all remember that. You could just slide that up and down your line, and then of course that was the slip bobber that I was fishing. But I want to show you a really cool slip bobber that I really do like. This is a slip bobber. It's made by the boys up in the Pacific Northwest at Addicted. They make steelhead bobbers as well as trout. And this one's for trout. I'm going to show you how to put it on. So this slip bobber comes with some rubber sleeves, and that's the first thing that you're going to want to put on your line. Okay, you can see that right there. Next, I'm going to take this line, and there's a couple of holes in this slip bobber, and I'm going to feed it through. There we go. And then of course, I've got one more of these kind of rubber gaskets here. And the trick is you want to get that thing wet, because that's going to slide on your slide bobber a lot easier. And let me pull up the other end here and get that nice and wet. And then I'm going to just press that on like so. And there you go. Now this slide bobber, see I'm pulling this line, it can go up, it can go down, and you can set the depth whatever you want. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than using this slide bobber from Addicted. I really like it. It also comes with a couple brass rings. I don't have them on here, but what that does is just gives it a little more balance and some weight as well, because you want that bobber obviously standing up and down in the water. All right, so let's get to why we're here, and that is the more traditional floating bobber. These are the kinds that you fill up with a little bit of water, and I want to show you how you rig it up using these bobber stops. And this is what those bobber stops look like. You can see I had these in the video. These are rated for 4-pound test line specifically. That's key. You want to make sure that your bobber stops are matching your line. Otherwise, they won't go on. Now there's a little loop. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty tiny. And all you're going to do is you're going to feed your main line through this loop. And there we go. It can be a little tricky. If you're having a hard time getting that loop open on these bobber stops, just take a hook, run it through there, and just kind of shimmy it around and it'll open it up. And you can see now I've got the line through there. And all I'm going to do is now slide that bobber stop off of that wire line. I'm going to slide it onto my fishing line. And there you go. Okay. Now we've got our bobber stop on. And we're going to put, in this order, bead. Okay. You're just going to run that line through the bobber. There you go. So you've got your bobber stop, your bead, and then you've got the bobber. Then you want to put your number 12 swivel on there. All right. So that's just an overhand, clinch knot, fisherman's knot, approved clinch knot, whatever you want to call it. On there, I can't see as usual. Clip that end. Then you want to connect your leader, 4-pound fluoro. It's got to be fluoro. You don't want those fish to be able to see the line. If you're throwing mono, it's a mistake. Those fish are going to be able to see it. So make sure that you're throwing the right pound or the right line, and also the right pound test line. Okay. All right. So this is what your rig should be looking like. You got your main line, you got your bobber stop, you got your bead, you've got your water bobber, and then you've got your number 12 barrel swivel, and then coming off that barrel swivel, you've got your 4-pound test fluoro in this case, or you could throw a 2-pound test. You want to go 6th, knock your socks off. So what am I going to put at the end of this thing? All right. You can put a whole bunch of stuff. So let's take a look. All right. First thing is, okay, we got a little Sierra Slammer mini jig on here. All right. So you can see here, it might be a little bit hard to tell, but right now from my bobber to my jig is about a yard, a little over a yard, maybe a yard and a half. So that's my depth. If I want to make that go deeper, right, I'm going to slide up my bobber stop, which means that bobber is going to go that way. And all of a sudden now, what was 4.5 feet is now 5.5 feet, etc. So you can keep adjusting how deep you want to go just by sliding this bobber stop up and down. And by doing that, it's going to let that bobber float in the water to the depth that you want. Okay? So you're probably thinking, well, that's kind of wild. He's throwing a little mini jig on there. Yeah. Normally, if I'm up in the Sierras, the Alpine Lakes, I might throw this with a bobber stop, but most of the time I'm just throwing it as a standalone. It's got enough weight to get out there, but you can do it. You can throw it with these water bobbers. You can do the same thing with a Golden State jig like this. You can attach it to your line, and again, it's got that weight and it's going to get down. These are all great options. Here's another Sierra Slammer. You can attach all these to the end of the line. Here's the difference though, okay? I'm going to take off that Sierra Slammer mini jig, and I'm going to tie on what I was throwing out there, which was this tiny little trout magnet. Okay. All right, I've got my trout magnet on there. Good little color.
right? Looks like a stonefly, maybe a mealworm, you know, something. But these trout love these things. But in my opinion, if you're fishing a lake, you may not need a weight to get this down, or you might. I was playing around with it, trying to get to different depths. But if you're fishing these in a stream or in a creek system, and you're fishing it with this kind of a setup, with your water bobber, you're definitely going to want to add some weight to it, right? So, you know, for all of us guys that, you know, we love to fly fish as well, we know the importance of split shot, and sometimes you just need it. And the reason why you need it is because you're trying to get your lure or your fly down into the water column at that preferred depth, or on the bottom of where you want it to be. Okay, so now again, I've got my bobber stop here, I got my bead, water bobber, okay, and now I've got a little bit of a split shot just to kind of help get that down, okay? And that's really all you need to do. And that's really an effective little bait, and that's gonna go ahead and get down. And again, I can keep adjusting my depth by moving this bobber stop back and forth and letting that water bobber float on top of the water and give me more line or less line to get this jig or my bait, whatever I'm throwing, my fly, you know, my marabou jig I put on here. I could put a woolly bugger on here, put these mini jigs, whatever. You know, I was throwing these floating gulp baits, even though they float. You know, I attached them to a hook, and I put a split shot on there to get them down, and that's what I caught that second fish on. So really effective way to fish. So again, really good way for beginners or advanced fishermen if you're, you know, fishing for trout in lake systems and or in creek systems, and you want to fish with a bobber to have that indicator to see. I really recommend getting yourself some of these bobber stops, because you got to have them. It's the only way you can control your depth, unless you're going with this, right? This slip bobber from the boys at Addicted. And this is really a good little bobber. It's gotten beat up over the years. It's starting to crack. I will say the one thing that I've had an issue with has been these rubber sleeves. They do harden up. They get a little crunchy, and then they get kind of hard to off and on. So you may have to replace those a little bit. But overall, this is a really killer slide bobber. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. Get out there. Go wet some lines. Trout season's kicking off here in the Sierras here very soon. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed kind of the journey I've been taking you on with the eagles as well. Unfortunately, during the production of this video, one of the eaglets, a third, had hatched and then passed away. And I didn't want to show it, but it was pretty remarkable that Jackie, the mother, actually, she took the third eaglet that had passed away out of the nest and disposed of it somewhere. Maybe she had some little ceremony. What do eagles do? I don't know. But really, at the end of the day, it's to get it out of the nest so that it won't infect the little birds that are in there, the eaglets that are in there. So it was really for hygiene purposes. So check out that Friends at Big Bear Valley. Their camera's incredible. And just from the pictures that I've shown on this video and how big those eaglets are now, birds grow really fast. I had no idea. You know, just outside my front door here, I'm in the garage. We had a couple, some chickadees that made a nest in one of the hanging plants. And I'm not lying to you, they laid those eggs, and it was probably about a month's time from when those eggs hatched and those 3 little chicks flew out of the nest. It was amazing. And they actually, the reason why I know this, because I walked out of the front door one day and Mama and Papa and 3 little chicks flew by my head and got me all fluttered up, and I saw them. So it was pretty amazing. But anyway, listen, hope you enjoyed the tale. More to come. The season's coming upon us right now. We're going to be heading up to the Sierra more and more. Snowpack's still pretty heavy up at the upper elevations. Probably, for the folks who like to trek in and for those day trips and the backpacking, it's probably going to be July 1 or so before you can really get back there because of the snow levels. And you don't want to be humping across those ice sheets and slipping and falling and hurting yourself back there. So probably July, but the fishing's getting ready to open up. Should be a good season. Get out there now. Water levels are low and fish are hungry and they're not pressured yet, and you can probably get yourself on some good fish. All right, so until then, we see you again. Remember, the best stories are the ones we share. Enjoy yourself. Get out there. Tight lines. Bye-bye.